Let's use the Keynesian Cross model to illustrate the multiplier effect in the goods and service market. Let's first draw the Keynesian Cross model. The aggregate expenditure, the aggregate output. The 45-degree line represent Y, or supply side. The aggregate expenditure curve, upward sloping, represent the demand side. So the intersection will tell you the equilibrium in the goods and the service market. YP, here when we say the YP, because the equilibrium output also represent the potential level of the output of the economy. So we can call this YP. And the AE here, we can also write out P means the potential aggregate expenditure. So what is the multiplier effect? Let's suppose firms expect their future profit to decline. So how could this affect the Keynesian Cross model? As we learned previously, when the firms expected the profitability to decline in the future, it will affect aggregate demand side. And when we study aggregate demand side, we always write out this equation. Aggregate expenditure equal C plus I plus G plus NX, net export. If the firm expects the profit to decline in the future, firm will change the decisions. And we know the second component in this equation, investment, comes from the firm sector. With a lower level of the expected profit, the firm will cut their spendings. So which means the firm will cut spending on machine, equipment, buildings. So I here investment declined. If other things remaining the same, the aggregate expenditure will go down. So now we can go back to this graph to show what happened. If aggregate expenditure goes down, we can draw the curve. Yeah, my curve here is not very precise, but you can imagine this is a parallel shift. So the aggregate expenditure curve will shift from the AE to AE prime. With the new aggregate expenditure curve, we can find out what will happen. The equilibrium output will drop to the Y1, below the potential GDP, YP. And the distance between these two aggregate expenditure curve actually shows the reduction in the investment. I. And we can also see here the reduction in the total GDP. Visually, you can easily find out the distance between these two aggregate expenditure curves, the vertical distance, is much smaller than the change of the GDP, the distance between the Y1 and the YP. So this tells us what? The smaller, a very small change in the aggregate expenditure could lead to the bigger change in the GDP. That's what we call a multiplier effect. So a small change in aggregate expenditure, in our case, is a change in the investment, will lead to a larger change in GDP. Why? You can see from the graph. So that's what we talk about, the multiplier effect.